floor, anything else. So let's bypass that.
Well, but isn't it because the MEP, when you link something in, doesn't recognize ceiling?
It's inherently the issue, but it sounded like it was resolved in that. In this white paper
that you read.
Yeah. So.
Oh, they need to. I don't know why they don't.
Yeah.
But see, I have had it recognize it as a face.
Yes.
But it doesn't seem to be recognizing it as a face.
It's not recognizing it as a face.
Right. Because yeah.
That's the ultimate hope. You know, the custom ones that we made for you work perfectly. And the downside is just that they're manual, they don't find the elevation automatically. Lindsay, I was just saying that the out-of-the-box hosted fixtures that I read that this issue was resolved, you could utilize the hosted fixtures on a linked model. And it doesn't appear to be working. It's working for walls and floors, but the light fixtures will not go onto a ceiling. So we'll have to stick with, I was a little too optimistic about that, we'll have to stick with using levels and reference planes as a rule of thumb for placement of fixtures. Okay?
So if we were in the architecture model, would be a problem?
Would not be a problem. Yeah, would not be a problem.
Question. Is there a way to say half-tone everything but the light fixtures?
Yes. So through VG.
Oh, I can select all.
Select all. Yeah, and you uncheck light fixtures and you check half-tone. But it should be half-toning automatically for you. Through manage. Because we have the RCP set to see it as the architect is seeing it. Let me change that back to by host view. Let's see if that updates.
Well, I'm just looking at like the enlarged plan.
Yeah.
That, you know, when they're doing that. Yeah, but for some reason the ceiling is not.
Go to VG, change it back to being the linked view. Revit links, change it back to being by host. That will help. Okay, so let's go ahead and place a few fixtures in. Recording there. Let's go ahead and place a few fixtures. The like I was saying, the process is that you're still going to have to utilize levels or reference planes. It doesn't look like it's completely resolved yet within the software to host to that ceiling. But I don't know, maybe I misread it, but all the fixtures out of the box ones are hosting nicely to walls or floors. They won't go to the ceiling. It's odd. So the good thing is in your quiver of tools, you have the HLB fixtures ready to go. All of those are a non-hosted fixture. You could have an architect working in AutoCAD, and you could be working in Revit, and that would be fine because it doesn't require anything to host to.
So that would be, I guess, that's a big distinction to make. If we were to go into CAD or documentation without a model in place, we would have to, I mean, really, realistically use the unhosted
Correct.
fixtures.
Yep.
Whereas within Revit itself, we have the option of either.
Using either. Correct. Yeah, that's it. And the big distinction is that with using the non-hosted fixtures, your HLB fixtures, one issue is that you have to manually set their height. So you have to be very careful about where they are. Unlike the hosted fixture, where you place the hosted fixture on a reference plane or a level, it automatically goes to that point. And we've mentioned before that we can lock it to a ceiling so that it goes up and down if the elevation changes. There is, that's probably the easiest way. I mean, by using the HLB fixtures, which are floating, they really are helpful. You have to lock each individual fixture to the ceiling. It's really not bad. Let me go through that process for you quickly. HLB recessed, parabolic troffer. We'll drop one of those into this little bathroom. Look, it sets nicely. We can see it immediately. Comes in at 8 feet. Now look at this. I'm going to use my align command, AL, to align to the grid.
So you just draw it over from the list.
I did.
HLB recess parabolic troffer.
So there it is. The thing that it requires you to do, though, as a user, somewhat difficult, is that you need to go around and make sure that you have a little section following you around that you can go in, right click, go to view. Okay, there it is. It's actually below our ceiling level. Okay? So you need to go through the process of doing an AL for a line. Line 2. Align to that ceiling, and then, I don't know what I referenced to, AL. I'm going to try to align to the ceiling if possible.
And you were placing on a work plane, right?
That was free. It was not placed on anything.
Because just because one of the things that, again, that I've noticed in the past, I noticed with this as well, if you do reference plane or level, and you place it on that work plane, recessed fixture is coming upside down.
That's right.
So you have to flip it.
Yep.
Is all.
And do you know, can you do that in plan? I'm trying to think. Can you flip them, or do you have to go into an elevation?
You can, but for some fixtures I found that when you do that, it also changes the orientation.
Oh, okay.
So it'll flip it around with it. I mean, which is good to see in plan, but
I couldn't remember if it flips
there's a flip. The flip button will come up.
I'm getting a warning, and I can't see my fixture. It says none of the created elements are visible and reflect the ceiling plan level to view.
Okay.
You may want to check active views, wrap it up to half.
Okay, that's actually good. So I see, that's one of the things about this HLB, the non-hosted versions, is you have to be conscious of where they're going. Actually, it inserted at 0 feet, 0 inches above the finished floor. So you can actually change that elevation before you place one. Just rather than chasing that one down and where you put it, change your offset into 8 feet before you place it. So change if you start lighting fixture, you change that offset to 8 feet before you start placing. That will help. These working out decently for you? Mm-hmm. They're foolproof. That's the great thing about the non-hosted fixtures is they're just not a problem at all. Oh, so what you do is right there. You change it to 8 before you start placing it. Oh, interesting. So it's automatically updating, huh? The mounting height and the offset, that may be a predetermined. It may not actually be changing anything. But let's see if you go in at 8. Yeah, there it is. It's showing up. Cool. You're welcome. Okay, so those fixtures are the safe ones to use.
To go into your plan, take out. And then right there, elevation.
Oh, it is.
Sometimes it's offset, sometimes it's elevation.
Yeah.
It's what the software defaulted to. And you're using hosted fixture. Let's see if we can place on face. Yeah, it's not letting us.
Why, if I select this, why does it?
I'll try to drag it in. There we go. And then change your offset to 8.
Will it automatically
It won't find the ceiling height. This is a carryover. Actually, when Lindsay and I first met, I was working with an MEP firm that was 100% Revit all the time. They did not use AutoCAD anymore. So even if their architects were in AutoCAD, they were still using Revit. And they were doing it through things like this. They were utilizing non-hosted entities that they could wire to, that they could, of course their ductwork and all those things didn't require a host because the tool was so much more productive. Several firms were doing that. And I think structural engineers have been doing it for even much longer than most of the other consultant disciplines.
So to do that, you just import your CAD files?
Yeah, exactly. So instead of, when we linked in the Revit file as the base model, exactly, you just link in the CAD files in a very similar manner. Yep.
Find my pictures.
Yep.
In this section.
So if it's not showing up, a few things you can do. If you're trying to seek out a fixture, you can go into your project browser and go browse to that fixture. You can right click on it and say select all instances, an entire project. And it goes and finds all of them in the project. Maybe that helps you then identify it. Oh, okay, great. Now one thing too, after I made those interior elevations, I know sometimes the scale is really, really hard to see on these levels. Look at this. If you're just in a working view, this is the virtue of having working views, is just change that scale to something more sensible so that the level heads aren't in the way. It's one of the more annoying things. You'll just need to scale it down because it's a working view. It's never ending up on a sheet, right? So you can do anything you want to do in here.
So because I have a troffer in here, it shows up on top of my ceiling, which is essentially it's like in the toilet bowl.
It's okay, move it down. So select it first, select the light fixture, and then do MV. Yeah. See, that's the nice thing. It's a free-floating entity.
But I guess my question is, because it's a recessed fixture, it shouldn't be sticking out the ceiling. Right?
That's right, and you can control it. You can place it anywhere you want it to be. So you can do like, where's the ceiling in this? That's really funny because it's one of the restroom things. Go to your plan and just let's see where your section's taken. Oh, it's going right through the toilets. Maybe still is strange. I would think you would see.
Yeah, I can move it.
Yeah, that's one thing. If you have a working section that you're just utilizing for your working views, move it around. Utilize it as something to help you.
No longer see my fixture. Oh, because we moved it.
Level 2. Okay, good. You can just grab it there and move it forward. Oh, you're up at level 4. Is that it?
There should be.
These levels. There's 1, 3.
I don't know. Yeah, how is
Very strange. Anyone else experiencing the?
I unloaded one of the models because levels weren't lining up.
Okay.
I kept the CS and I unloaded the other one because
do your levels go like 3, 1, 4?
then there's a B1 somewhere, and that's why I just got rid of one of the levels. I said I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I would keep the CS and unload the other one because I don't really need it. You can see
So
the
we
ceilings
do that by
again.
managing links.
You can do it there, or also on the bottom left portion of your project browser. There's a Revit at the very, very bottom. There's a Revit link, so you expand it there. This almost acts like the X ref where you can just right click on it, unload. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, is you can access that managing of links and views and things like that from that one place. Okay.
Yeah. My levels are now in the correct order.
And now they're in the correct place. So, there, when you're hunting and pecking around through the architectural file, and I mean, this really is a non-issue when you have shared coordinates in place. So on your first project, actually, I mean, I don't know, anybody starting a new project in the next week or so?
Yep.
Get on the phone with me, make sure that's in place, and I'll walk you through that process when it actually is working correctly.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Hyundai, for instance, is. You just want to live in our office?
Yeah. Actually, I will take a slide.
I'm a little serious now.
We talked about it after we left.
We've got a joke platform right here.
That's awesome. I need office space for the next 6 months. Yeah.
Exactly. We have desks.
We need help for the next.
That could actually be fun.
We have private space.
Huh. Interesting.
For scheming.
That's interesting. It's funny, as I was mentioning last night, my new lease and space don't start until June. So,
Well,
but at any rate,
we'd like to trade services.
That's actually pretty cool. I wonder if when you're
all the other offices are already jealous.
Yeah, seriously, what the hell?
Well, to make you feel better, you get to go back to 79-degree weather.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah, when you're sitting inside.
Well, when you go through this, you won't have to worry about that. When you have shared coordinates going, it's not an issue. Let's do a quick layout off to the side and plan.
So I guess that's a question. When we aligned everything, we only aligned it in the plan view. We should have also looked in the section view.
You have to then go to the section view and then put it in place.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for your HLB fixtures because they are completely manual.
Right.
They have no, the numerical controls for changing elevation are only so good. It really demands a user going in and changing them.
But also in terms of when we linked it, the Revit file, they didn't quite align up. We
Correct.
aligned them in plan, but then obviously not.
Good point.
the other
3.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the bigger issue is that it should be set up.
Yeah, I mean,
Properly.
for a real project, if we have that, we've got to put our hands in the air and say,
Right.
if these aren't matching, I can't document them.
Correct.
Because we don't
inevitably
know
we're
which
gonna
one's
document wrong.
correct.
It's-
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Shared coordinates is a beautiful system. It will work out. So let's go back quickly to a section. Let's make a level for our light fixtures because I do want to do some of the hosted fixtures. I honestly think they are a better way to go because if a whole ceiling plane changes at one time, you can move that level, and it moves all the fixtures. Whereas using the HLB free floating fixtures, you would have to go move them individually, or lock them all
That's
at
what
the
I
same
was about to
time.
ask. So if we were to move them individually, but then lock them to that specific ceiling, we would still, it would move with it.
It should move with it, conceivably. Yeah, and likewise, you can still do reference planes. I mean, they are just the most flexible fixture that you can possibly use. The hosted fixtures, I think, are probably the ones that I would try to use more often, simply because you relieve that one step of having to, you don't have to lock the fixture. It automatically hosts to the level or the work plane or the reference plane.
But even so, the reference plane would need to be locked to that level, wouldn't it?
It would. You'd have to go in. So actually, let's just go through that process quickly. Go to a section. But yeah, you're exactly right. Go to View. If I go to my Architect tab, remember that's where you get levels from. Level. And I'm going to just create one here. Escape. I'm going to call this. I really like that naming convention actually that you had yesterday. Level 2, and this is an 8/8 ceiling. Okay, this is something that pops up sometimes. Would you like to rename corresponding views? You can probably say yes to this. In your project browser, it's just going to rename the view. Every time you use the level tool, it automatically creates a view with that. Level 2, 8/8 ceiling. You go back to a plan view. Everyone have a level created? Create a quick level. And one thing you can do is if you change your scale to something like 1:1, all your big, the nice thing is it gets some of the documentation out of the way, or the big level heads that you can't see past. So we create that level. If we go back to a plan, pick any hosted fixture, try to drag it in. Let's do, comparably, I'm going to pick a hosted linear pendant for the fun of it, since that's something that's easily seen. Drag that in. Remember, we are seeing our cross. It's saying, you can't place it here. Place on vertical, place on face. Don't do the place on face because right now it's finding a floor. You can see mine is saying, okay, yeah, I'll let you place it, but it's finding a floor. Place on work plane. Okay, you want to click place on work plane. We're going to hit the radio button. They call these little round buttons radio buttons. Specify a new work plane. It is going to be level 2, 8/8 ceiling. We'll hit OK. Now, it says that it wasn't visible in that view. I need to go and check my properties before placing that fixture. Part of the problem is that I had it 8 feet above the floor, which doesn't work. So always, if you get an error that says, I can't, you're not seeing this view, likely it's because the properties, when you're creating that light fixture, it's out of range. You just need to go back and
that was the offset?
That was the offset, correct.
Did you copy monitor before?
I did not copy monitor the floor.
I think I'm several steps behind you. Because don't we want to lock this with something? And I don't know why.
You're exactly right. The 8/8 ceiling gets locked to, the level that you created for that 8/8 ceiling gets locked to the ceiling. We'll do that here in a moment. I think you've locked it.
I don't know what this is going on.
Change your scale to same. like a 1-to-1 or something like that, anything up here in that range, you should be able to see a little bit better. Yeah, it's very...
Do I have 2 levels? I've somehow made 2?
Just to be safe, you may want to hit delete and see if there may be, yeah, one on top of another. Hit undo. It looks like you were okay there. Yeah, you're okay. Well, you have 1 level. You're fine.
This isn't 2
No,
locked together?
no, it's locked. It's actually saying the ends are locked. The nice thing with the levels is you can drag the ends out as a group. This is what Robin's experience is. She's seeing that her level, as she selects it, she's seeing this lock box right here. And that's all this is saying, is that the ends are locked, so that if you drag them out, they all move together. Does everyone see how that's working? Which is really nice from a documentation standpoint. They realize that there's a parametric relationship. You're pulling one, and they're supposed to have a relationship with one another. Likely, computer's saying, you probably want to have the others as well, which is nice. Okay, so look at my linear pendant. Came in upside down. It's a very common thing. It's something that we see happening all the time when we're placing on a work plane. Now here in plan, you can flip that you can flip the work plane. Select that fixture. And I'm going to flip it over. And there we are.
There's a little, if you click on a fixture, it's that little parallelogram looking thing. Yeah.
Okay. So, just to recap, making the level or a reference plane, something that you can host to, you lock it to a ceiling. That way when the architect ceiling goes up and down, your fixtures move with it. Placing the fixtures, if you use hosted fixtures, you may need to open up a section at the same time so you can see if they're flipped. Make sure that if you are placing fixtures and you're not seeing them where, as you would expect, go into properties, make sure that they're at 0 or that they're not 8 feet above where you're trying to place them. In the case of this pendant, watch what happens when I change the offset. See, it pushes itself off. So it is movable off of that work plane. And we just need to be conscious of that.
So a question that I would have in this method of documentation. My understanding of reference planes and levels, which I could be wrong, is that even if you draw a line that's only an inch long on the screen, it acts as if that thing goes to infinity.
Correct.
So,
correct.
While we're locking that to the bathroom ceiling that's at 8'8", let's say in our initial design, the bathroom ceiling's at 8'8", and so is the public corridor. The architect then decides we want to move the public corridor to 10 feet.
Yep.
What type of indication, or will we know that they made that change and our fixtures are 2 feet below?
Right. Yeah, so what used to be maybe the same ceiling or 2 different ceilings
is now changed.
Yeah, it's just a verbal coordination.
So is there any way that, so then my thought is it might be better for us to create or copy all of the architect's ceilings and lock them to their ceiling. So we copy a bathroom ceiling and lock it to a bathroom, we copy a corridor and
correct,
put it on the corridor.
Correct.
So then we would know if they move the corridor, our stuff.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's like we probably want to think of it in those terms at all. Yeah. Yeah, if you're doing different levels, initially maybe the bathroom and the corridor are the same. Mm-hmm. But as a time saver, I would agree. I'd be, 8'8" ceiling on level 2. We'll combine those two, but maybe you do want to break it out as those two things.
But you can't do that with reference planes and reference planes and levels, because they act as if it's over the entire
as a constant plane. That's correct. They go to infinity. There's no reason that you can't just.
But Michael, when you say copy, do you mean like do the copy monitor, or do you mean like
I don't
actually
know.
physically?
I don't know. I'm just hypothetically, we would want to create a ceiling in our drawing that locks to theirs.
Right.
You know, that's the exact same as theirs. Hopefully, we don't have to redraw it. That then, when we put a fixture there and they move just that one ceiling, we get move with them. Because that's the only concern is that we don't know all the times when they change ceilings because it could be 2 inches, which from a lighting perspective usually doesn't matter. So they wouldn't usually tell us.
Yeah, that's what I was asking before, is if we were supposed to be locking our levels or something, copy monitoring.
But the problem with a level isn't specific just to that room. That level's over the entire building. So if you place everything on that level and then they change the corridor here, these fixtures down here are going to be floating.
How did we lock? We can lock that reference.
Yeah, but when we have multiple levels.
Yeah, check this out. So what we do here,
Yes.
we're gonna just
But
unlock that
again,
piece.
at the original documentation, if your corridor's at 9 and your bathroom's at 9,
We're gonna do an
or the
alignment,
document, all those fixtures
AL.
on 9,
Right,
then they change the corridor to 10.
right, and leave the bathroom at 9.
We're not going to know that all of those fixtures are 1 foot below.
I select the bathroom ceiling, select the level,
You know.
and it's, I can't select that.
How do I select the bathroom ceiling if my level is on top of that?
Okay, so what I did is I pulled out this little section. I'm in a working section,
Oh, so I see what you're saying.
and I pulled off and I did my align command, and then you have to tab through. Come on, give me a ceiling. Like that, and select a level. Did it let you attach to the ceiling? I'm having a little trouble selecting it. There we go.
What was your question?
How do I get to the ceiling if my level is on top of it?
So you see how you can actually separate one level, you know, there's this relationship built with the level tag. Right here. And it happens. You'll have to, there's going to be some level of consciousness that you'll have to just always know where the ceiling planes are residing. In this one, we're not able to lock down, and we'll have to take a look at why. It says it's over constrained, and that may be. Hold on 1 second. Okay, that allowed me to do it. It's a shared coordinate issue right there because shared coordinates aren't set up properly in the file. Look at this. As soon as I took off the shared coordinates of that linked file, and you won't have this trouble normally, you can tab through AL, select the ceiling, select the level, and then lock them together. So as that ceiling goes up or down, then your level moves as well. Now look at this. I have in plan 2 hosted fixtures. 2 of them are going to this level. Watch this. If I change this to being only an 8-foot ceiling, for that matter, would never happen, but look at that. See how the fixtures are going up and down with that level? That's a very nice thing to have. Notice the fixture that's an HLB fixture didn't necessarily move with that level because it's free. It's an unconnected item.
If we locked it to that?
But if you locked it, exactly right. So watch this. AL, select the level, then select the fixture, then hit lock. Now you're good. The only issue with doing that is that you'd have to do it for each and every fixture. As opposed to the hosted fixtures, they do it as a group. And they'll move naturally with that level as it's going up and down. And you can always unlock something as well.
How can you tell what something is locked to?
So, okay, so say,
Like, how can I tell what my level is locked to?
so if you select that level, and if you see a lock
Yeah.
symbol coming up, there you go. You have a horizontal lock. Perfect. You can,
Is it that light blue line that's telling me
more or less, yeah.
I'm locked to?
I wouldn't say it's horribly clear.
No.
And in some ways, it demands the user knows what they're locking to. One issue with locking to these ceilings that we should be cautious about is that it's locking is error prone. Remember I said yesterday, locking dimensions and things like that, use it sparingly. We should, just because it is error prone to a degree, and you'll try. Revit's a very stable program, except sometimes in those locking instances, you'll have files go bad because they're saying, oh, there's too many dependencies being built up. So just use it sparingly. That's what I would say. And in fact, locking to the ceilings, I think that's perfectly fine. But let's do some other things here off to the side and plan. I want to show everyone the array command, how to make a group, how to do those types of things. Those are all very valuable tools, things that were used on the courthouse project. I think actually very well. The more I look at that project, Michael, you guys did a really nice job.
That's good enough.
Yeah, definitely it works. So first and foremost, if you select a fixture, I want to show you how to array, because we're gonna play with the concept of if we were doing a few typicals. Okay, so let's imagine that this structural bay here is a typical area. Okay, and we want to array these light fixtures out. Now, we don't have a ceiling here. There's a few different things we could do. We're going to avoid the ceiling. I'll show you how to draw a ceiling here in a moment after we go through this exercise doing a typical. But let's array out this troffer that we have. The array command is AR, is short, or if you like the icons, it is copy, where is it? Array. There it is. So check this out. I can do the AR array command. Okay, this is critical. I'm sure, Michael, you encountered this. The group and associate issue? Yeah, bless you. Group and associate, there's two types. First, you have a standard linear array, and then you have a polar array, just like you do in AutoCAD. Let's say we want to get 6 of these fixtures. So you basically would move the count, change the count to 6. Here's the question. Do you want to group and associate these? Group and associate means that it's going to keep this array as a parametric relationship. We'll show you what this first one is like. We'll keep it at 6 and we will do group and array. Left click somewhere in the drawing area to start to set a base point and a distance. You're going to left click again to set that distance. That distance is going to be basically how frequently those are spaced. I'm going to do 4 feet. Look at that, I arrayed out 6 of them. 4 feet on center. But look at this. This is cool because when they're grouped and associated, I can select one of the group. There's a little number next to it. Look at this. I can change it. And it will keep arraying them out. So that's when they're grouped and associated. The bad thing is that you can't change the spacing. You can change the count in the array.
I just did though.
Did what? By moving one of them?
But if you click on the activate dimensions, it lets you spread them out and everything, but it doesn't seem like you have a real indication of how far you're spreading them.
Ah, exactly right. Yeah, right. And I think if you try to move one, yeah, what you can do is you can move one, and it spaces them equally.
Yeah.
You know, so that's nice. But you're exactly right. There's no way of specifying again like that 4 feet on center or whatever you wanted to do from the beginning. It's not all that easy, but still pretty nice, right? Mm-hmm. So check this out. Let's say we also want to array in the other direction. Do array. Let's say we have maybe 3 of these. You can take a group and the nested group, and you can just go ahead and add more in this. We'll space this out a bit more. So there they are. Okay, so groups are like blocks as well, because they're editable. So select one of those groups of I guess the last vertical section. You see how I selected one, said I have all the vertical elements of that group, hit edit group, and you go in and it puts you into like a block editor, just like what you experienced in AutoCAD probably when you go in and you do block editor. So here you can do some interesting things, adding and removing items. If there's something else in the drawing area that you want to add to that group, you can do so. You can ungroup it. You can actually also dig in deeper to because it's a nested group. Remember, we used one group we arrayed out, and then we arrayed that group again. So you can say, okay, I want to actually go in and dig in and grab that other one. We'll hit yes. For the fun of it, let's change this to a different light fixture. Let's do 2 by, I'll do a 1 by 4 parabolic. Finish. Changes them all. Isn't that nice? Okay. That's one way of arraying where you maintain relationships, grouping and arraying. Fine way of doing it. I'm going to show you another way, though. HLB, I'm going to start over with the parabolic troffer because that one's so nice and easy to see. Okay. Start my array command again. I want to do 4 of these, but uncheck group and associate. Watch this. Uncheck group and associate. Use that 6s. There we go. I arrayed this out, and they're standalone elements. They don't have that relationship built in. The reason I like this latter version is it's a little easier for when we're doing typicals, and I'll show you why. Next thing that we do is we do an AR array. Go 6 in this direction. We'll do 3, 6, and there we are. They're not grouped and associated. You can see here it's very easy to just reselect them. Going over 6 feet. Go grab all of these. Now, if you're doing typicals, this is certainly a nice easy way to go because then you grab all the fixtures you've created at the end and you make your own group of that. Hit tab. You're going to see create group after you've selected them. And we're going to call this, it allows you to name it, almost like naming the block. In this case, typical example. Look at that. So now you have a group of these. At that point, you can use your standard move, copy commands, whatever they are, coming off of your Modify tab. Copy, CEO, works well. CEO, you can set your base point as maybe a grid line. Obviously, I was sloppy when I was laying these out. Copy multiple, I'm just going to copy one here, but copy multiple comes from the same place. Top of the screen, copy multiple is a checkbox. And then you have to pick a base point. I'll be very sloppy here, but we'll help get the idea. It just allows you to. Okay. Nice thing is you can always go into that group if you ever need to. Edit that group. You can select all of them or a group of them, and you can change it to a different type, whatever it may be. It updates all of the groups, obviously. It works just like block updating in AutoCAD. Did you utilize groups at all? No. Brandon? No? Okay. Yeah, these are definitely helpful. They're nice, especially for the typicals. Okay, what if we have the same thing going on the floor above? That's common, right? Let's select all of those groups that were created. I'm going to do a Control-C. And I used my HLB non-hosted fixture, and that's one thing for this to work for everyone. That's going to be the demand, because we don't have any work planes up above for them to host to. But we do a Control-C. We go to our Modify tab, Paste, Aligned to Selected Levels. From that point, this allows you to select all the levels that you want to go to. If we had already in place those other our ceiling levels, we would have been able to paste this to those levels in the exact same place. So it's doing the same plan location. Sectionally, we're going to have to we'll have some work to do, because we didn't have those levels set up properly in the first place. I go to a section. Oh, this thing has actually kept the elevation properly.
You said aligned to selected levels, right?
I did. What's interesting there? Now, you know, it's interesting. It looks like there's something blocking level 3. So we're going to go into VG, Revit links. Let's do by host view, because and there it is. Not sure what's going on with the by host view, by linked view. When I've been changing this link back to seeing it by host view, I'm getting better results on at least the work that we're drawing. Yet again, it's one of those things where you need to have that conversation with the architect. Hey, what is the best RCP that we should be referencing? Why are we seeing some things when we go into that RCP?
Yes. I seem to have gotten behind a little bit.
Okay.
How you did that? I somehow disappeared all my fixtures and then put them back.
The copying?
Yeah, to the different floors.
Okay. So select all of those groups that you had made using control. Cool. You can select one, and you should be able to right click using control or, I'm sorry, maybe shift. And then right click. And then just do a copy or a control C. That's the funny thing. Copy in Revit is different. Copy clip, I should be saying, is the correct terminology.
So I copy.
Do a control C.
Yep.
And then hit escape. And then on your modify tab, paste, hold down, align to selected levels. There you go. There it is. So you can select every level you'd like it to go to. Does that help?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Especially with
Repeats. Makes perfect sense. It's very fast. And then on any floor plan, granted this is a design plan, so it's not as critical. But if we were in a documentation plan, and maybe we should go ahead and set up one of those right now, where you'd actually be doing your annotation, right? That's probably the right time to do this. What we would do from here is we would take, say, level 2, and we would duplicate. We're going to hit rename, and here I would say something like level 2 RCP or something that makes it whatever you want to see coming out on the sheet. And that view usage, we'll change that to documentation. And then this is really, it'll have to be an internal discussion on what you're naming everything. And here is where you'll ultimately do all of your tagging. You can do it in the other view, but maybe it's not as helpful. And of course, when we're here, we can say annotation, and we'll hit tag all. Scroll down to lighting fixture tags. We'll hit apply. And we'll go OK. So there we are, tagged all of those lighting fixtures that are in the project in one shot. I don't know how many that was right there, but it was good 60 or 70 fixtures. Okay. Did everyone get through that stuff? Tagged all? In a documentation view? And I know it seems cumbersome and maybe an extra step to do design and documentation views, and it is to a degree, but you really will benefit from it once you have views on sheets or things that really set up how you want to have them set up. Where the working views, you utilize as your primary working piece. It's just much safer. It is cumbersome here at the beginning. And, you know, like for an MEP firm that's doing all the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineering, a lot of times those folks that are setting up are making 5 and 6 copies of the exact same floor plan, just changing the discipline, changing the name, all of those types of things. Check this out. I'm going to edit this group, and very quickly I'm going to go in and just apply some type marks to this. Here's A1, apply, and this will be edit type A2. And tag all of them, and with the right name, number, all those things.
And something's part.
Sure. Oh yeah, hold on just one second. What's that, Russ?
When something's part of a
Of a group?
the copy and manage group, can you? So I clicked on,
Oh, okay.
but I can't. There's nothing here.
Oh, so hit select that fixture and hit edit group. We need to go and just say yes to this.
Keep drilling down.
You got it. Yeah, great.
Okay.
That's the exact same way I look at it too. It's like going in deeper and deeper.
I just feel like it's when you have to explode something several times.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why, did you see when I was arraying it, there were 2 different ways you can array where you group and associate, or you do the non?
The non was much easier.
I think the non is much easier as well.
This was my leftover.
Yeah.
My group was just
And let's face it, normally we're on a ceiling grid and we don't have we're not placing fixtures willy-nilly.
right.
Quickly, on this backtrack?
Well, I'm getting a different than Stacy.
Okay.
So when I go to edit group, and then I click on one, this comes.
Oh, okay, cool, because it was arrayed out too. Same thing, if you hit cancel here, click on that fixture and look at the top, look at the ribbon, edit group. Hit that one more time, hit yes to this. You're drilling in and going further. There you go. Now hit edit type.
So is it a group within a group?
Nested groups. Yeah, exactly. It depends how you array. Like there's the 2 ways. You can array with the group and associate, which then basically creates nested groups, or you can array without group and associate.
So it's better to keep them free.
I kind of like them free, and then you group it together all at the end. I think that's somewhat easier. I don't know. It's a little. There's not a perfect way.
I have a quick random question. Because one of the things I'm thinking about is obviously one of our biggest difficulties is finding what the ceiling height is for a room. So we talked about spot elevations, but it looks like if you go up in level, it goes up with you. So level 3 becomes 33 feet instead of 8 feet. Is there any way to change that so it's more level specific? So even on level 3, it'll tell us that it's an 8 foot.
That's correct. In the Manage tab, let me just make sure. There is. Let me do a bit more digging in that, but there absolutely is.
Because one of the things I'm thinking of for our workflow, which might be helpful, is under the design portion that we take the time, day 1 to put in spot elevations of all the rooms.
Makes sense.
Because at the very least, when we talk with our team during design, we then know what the ceiling heights are when we print them out.
Yeah. That makes sense. There is. There's a setting in
tag
here.
all ceilings?
What's this?
You can tag all ceilings, can't you? Like with ceiling heights or not? Or you have to go through
But will it recognize ceilings?
I think you'll have to do it individually. It will. But the thing is all that the let me get back to you on where this is. But it basically comes down to the spot elevation tag, knowing whether or not to reference the level it's closest to it,
Right.
or the one that goes all the way down. And there is a place to change that. Yeah. Is this helpful? Is this portion helpful? All the grouping and everything?
Yeah.
Right.
Our tag comes in on top of that.
Okay, yeah, that's right. And we're at 8th, right?
Yeah, how do we move the tag?
Okay, cool. So hit OK.
I hate that.
So
I hate the tag.
click the tag. Check this out. Select one of them. Select one of the tags. Right click on it. Select all instances in view. And it grabs all of them. And then type MV. And you can move them all at one time. Also, your arrow keys work. If you just want to nudge them up and down, your arrow keys work all at one time.
Oh, but it's moving. It's moving my other fixture types as well. Type marks.
The other type marks as well. Exactly. So if it's a particular group that's offending,
Yeah.
you can include the tag in the group, which I think
We
You-
did.
you
We
were
had
doing a lot of
detail-
that.
We had detail groups that had, and it was for that reason in the sense that for our project we had one courtroom that was used 12 times. So we documented one courtroom, we tagged everything, made it look good, so tags were where they should be, and then attached that within the group so that
Perfectly fine.
it's then copying and pasting without having
And my
to adjust
arrows
the tag.
that makes a lot of sense.
But we should probably show how to add tags
To that group.
to that group.
Yeah, okay. Let's do that. I'm going to undo back to where I just have a basic group with no tags in it. I'm going to hit Edit Group. I'm going to go to my Annotate tab, tag. And, I'm sorry, cancel. I need to go to my Annotate tab. I can only tag by category externally from the group editor. I'm going to make sure that I don't have the leaders on. I go here and tag each one of these individually, just for this group. A little bit of repetition here, which is okay. Click on that group. Notice the tags are not part of that group. Hit Edit Group, and then I can hit Add. Won't let me add it.
I think you have to make them a detail group first.
Is that it? Visible in view. We can group those. Edit group. It's funny, the annotation is view specific. That's a lot of the reason why you can't add it to a group.
I think you actually may just, if you click attach instead of add,
Is that doing it?
you give it, when you do that, when you click attach, you then give it a name. So I usually call it a whatever our array is plus tags, and then you can select.
Just run through this really fast.
So if you click attach instead of add,
There we go. finish that up. Finish that up. So that's right, it makes two distinct groups. And that's because a model group can't contain, so the fixtures can't contain annotation. And that's an inherent thing in Revit, because remember, you're looking at the model a variety of ways. You don't always want it to bring the annotation. But the annotation is view specific. If I put notes and dimensions in this one view, it only shows in this one view. There are some types of annotation that do cross over between views, sections, elevations, items like that, but that's the majority of them.
Sorry, I'm kind of missing out. I'm not understanding.
So what we did is we created a light group. Watch this. It's two different groups. A light group, and then there's also a tag group. We hit the light group, we hit edit group, and then we did attach. And then we went around, and there's a dialog box that opens. You basically are making a new group at the same time. We selected all of our tags, and we hit finish. And what we ended up with in the end were two groups.
But I'm having trouble annotating just a single group of pictures.
Oh, okay.
Cool. What would be, I'm sorry, what would be the purpose of creating two groups?
If you wanted to be able to tag in the case of the courtrooms, where you come up with one typical plan and you tag it and you get everything in the right place as you like it, and then just be able to utilize that over and over and over again. It really depends, because remember when I said select all instances of the tag and then we were nudging them up? Some people said, oh, if I have other fixtures in that plan, it's not working. Now, I mean, the way of really handling that, I think, is the easier one. Is you just say, okay, maybe you have to do it in certain places. You can't do the select all instances at one time. Yeah, maybe you select all tags in the one area that you need to move, and you move those independently. There's a variety of ways. I think that's an internal question if you really do want to pursue.
But if I
tagging as a group.
So if I edit, if I create a group,
Yeah.
and I edit that one group,
Yep.
and then, or let's just say I copy that group,
Yep.
will it update the stuff in the other groups?
Yes.
It does. So look at this. So if I go into this group, edit group, and I change these two.
So basically, every time you made changes to the master room, it updated the other.
In essence, yeah. I mean, in your head, well, actually, you could pick any of them. So again, we had courtrooms on 5 floors. If on level 1 I changed that typical courtroom, it then went through and changed it everywhere. Where if you just simply copy an array,
you have to update.
You would have to then go to that, and you'd have to change each one. So when you have that typical condition, it's beneficial because editing that group then ties in everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's why it helped us.
So when we copied that group to other floors, that's then connected.
It's all still
together?
connected, yeah. So we change one, it's changing them all.
In a loose way, you can think of it in a way like an XREF, where once we get a new XREF from a client, it kind of updates it on the drawings.
Well, I guess I would think of it more of
It's
like a block.
a W block.
Yeah, I mean, or a W block
Yeah.
where,
And you redefine that definition whenever you...
and then it's taking it through everything. So where you have that very repetitive stuff,
Right.
it's helpful. Now, if you, I mean, we've also worked on dorm room buildings, not in Revit, but literally floor 3 is the same as floor 4.
Right.
It may not be worth changing or creating an entire group for that, because the entire floor would change, if anything. So if that's the case, you probably just document a floor, delete the one above, and copy everything up. But in a case where individual courtrooms maybe change, individual rooms that are very repetitive, it definitely helped us out. So that's one.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to use them.
But it doesn't matter. So like, do you always have to go back to the original group that you made, or can you go into any group?
You can go into, because yeah, you have them on level 2 through 5. If you change on level 5, it's going to change on level 2.
Okay.
If you change on level 2, it's going to change on level 5. There's no original to it.
Yeah. Correct. So it's really, really helpful. And the nice thing is too, I believe, yeah, if you move the fixture, the tag moves with it, obviously. So that's helpful as well. And at 8th, if that's where most of your documentation is happening, the tag normally comes in around the right place, but it's, yeah, amazingly helpful. So let's check out a quick fixture schedule. Let's see what's happening. Look at that. We're getting a variety of fixtures that are coming up. If you have